Hello and welcome back to the OTB channel. It's been a little time since I last produced a video, but that time hasn't been wasted. I've been playing with the latest version of Slackware, Slackware 15-ish, technically still Slackware current, and my next few videos are going to show you how to set this up. And I'm starting off today looking at some basics about updating the system, turning it into a Multilib system, and using a plugin called Slackpkg Plus. So I'll see you after the intro. Okay, welcome back. So I'm back after a couple of months hiatus. I'm not saying I'm going to get straight back into producing videos every week, but they are going to start ramping up now. And over the last couple of months, I've had the time to actually play with Linux rather than just thinking about what to produce for my next video. And one of the distributions that I've been looking at is Slackware. Not everybody's favourite, but in my opinion it should be. It's solid as the day is long. It's been going since 1993. And if you like or enjoy the likes of Arch and you enjoy learning about a system and building it up, Slackware is your boy. It hasn't changed a great deal since 1993, but that's not to say that it's old and uses old packages. In fact, if you use something like Slackware Current, which should turn into the next stable release in a matter of weeks, months. Well, imminently, but imminently can mean weeks or months when it comes to Slackware. Everything is pretty much up to date using the latest kernel and the latest packages. And personally, I mean, I've had Slackware on one of my systems for most of the 16, 17 years I've been using Linux. Perhaps the last 6 months has been an exception, and that's largely because the stable release 14.2 is just so old that I couldn't even get DWM to compile on it. But with the imminent release of 15, I thought it was time to go back on it. And I've installed it on 3 of my ThinkPads, and I've been running it for 2 months now, and I'm pretty impressed. I think Slackware is a distro that everybody should take a look at. It is a learning experience. It's not hard to install. In fact, I did a UEFI install with the Grub bootloader a while ago as a video. I mean, I'll stick it up here or wherever it goes on the final video if you want a link to that. What I'm going to do today, though, is I'm going to take you through the initial post-installation steps that you're probably going to want to look at if you install Slackware. They are using Slackpkg to update your system and using the Slackpkg Plus plugin to turn your system into a Multilib system, which I know is of particular importance to people who are gamers and they want to install the likes of Steam. Probably won't have time during this video to then look at how to use the Slackbills repository, because there is a repository out there called Slackbills, which is a little bit like the AUR in a sense, that it's about building source code for a whole range of packages with a build script. I'm going to save that till the second video. But for now, let's look at the basics. Updating Slackware package management 101 if you like, and let's get into it. Right, so let's make a start. Yesterday I downloaded the latest ISO from slackware.uk that's been produced by Alien Bob. You'll find current ISOs on Slackware UK under the people directory. And Alien Bob produces them quite frequently, so there aren't a huge amount of updates to apply, you know, if you use the latest one. But anyway, let's start this off in VirtualBox. and we'll go through the process. And it's gone straight to full screen. We're not going to get full HD initially, but you can see Lilo's loaded now. It's on Linux already as the default, so I'm just going to hit enter, and we're going to watch the boot screen go past. And you can see two little penguins above there, and they account for the 2 threads that I've actually allocated to this virtual machine. So it doesn't actually take that long. As you can see, I've called this Slack Demo, this box, and I'm going to log in, OTB, and I'm going to enter my password. And there we go. Now, by default, you're not going to get a login manager. I think SDDM is the default on here, but at the moment it's simply StartX that you'd use. If you want to use a login manager, it's dead simple. I'm just going to do SU to go to root, and I'll use nano, and you need to go into a file called etc inner tab. And if you go down here, it says your default run level is number 3. If you want it to automatically boot into a login manager, change 3 to 4. Simple as that. I'm not going to bother with this. In fact, let me just clear that, because I've quite got used to using StartX over the last couple of months, and I'm starting to wonder, why have I been using a login manager all the way along? Because it's just not necessary. But anyway, how do you actually manage what you boot into if you're going to use StartX in Slackware? Well, it has a handy little menu called XWM Config. And if I launch that, it tells me exactly what's been installed by default on a full installation of Slackware. And you can see I've added nothing to this yet. It's a clean ISO. You've got the Plasma desktop right at the top, which Slackware tends to treat as default. You've got XFCE, Fluxbox, Blackbox, Window Maker, FVWM2, TWM, and MWM. I don't know much about FVWM2, TWM, or MWM, but needless to say, I'm not going to play with them anyway. I'm going to select XFCE and just hit OK, and now clear the screen. And what I would say is you won't see GNOME on Slackware. Not an issue for me, but if you wanted to install GNOME, for those fans out there, there are a range of different third-party repositories and GitHub repos that contain the relevant packages. I'm not going to talk about them, but by all means, you know, if GNOME is your thing, go and have a look. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to log out of root, and I'm going to hit StartX. And we should go straight to an XFCE desktop. And there we have it. XFCE in all its glory. Now, the thing to remember about Slackware, I said this at the beginning, it's not going to come with pretty themes or anything configured, you know, in a special way. You will get the packages and the desktop environments exactly as the developer intended. What you do to them after that is up to yourself. However, because it's got so many packages installed in a default install, you'll see you're certainly not sure of applications. And if you're happy with a default Slackware and you just like something like XFCE or KDE, you might be happy with you know the default. And in terms of that, Slackware is really easy to use. It's a little bit different if you want to start kind of putting additional packages in, which I obviously do. But actually, that's one of the positives as far as I'm concerned, because it gives me a little bit like an Arch install, a blank base that I can use to build up. So I'm going to start off. I'm going to open up the web browser, which I think is going to be Firefox. It is indeed. Set as default browser, yeah, by all means. And let me just make this full screen. And I'm going to start off by searching for the Slackware beginners page, which will take you to the Slackware wiki. And it starts to introduce some of the basics. I've already created a user here, but it tells you how to create a user account. And then importantly, it tells you how to configure Slackpkg, which is the package manager for Slackware. So essentially what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you through that process. So let's open up the XFCE terminal. I'm looking at this and I've realized I don't actually know how to increase, zoom in, Control++. Okay, so if I do Control++++, probably a bit too much. Control minus, that'll be enough. Minus. Right, the first thing you want to do on a new Slackware installation is ideally update. So you're going to need to set a mirror. At the moment, no mirror is set. So I'm going to use SU to go to root. I'm going to log into that, and I'm going to use nano again. And you want to go to a file that you'll find in etc. Oops, helps if I spell it correctly. Slackpkg. Oops, not slackpkg.conf. Mirrors. etc Slackpkg mirrors. And I'm going to open this. You need to select a single mirror. Don't try and select multiple mirrors. Now, I did this yesterday, and I'm going through here because it's set up for Slackware 15, which doesn't actually exist yet. So I'm looking for the entries for Slackware current. So I'm going all the way down here. There we go, Slackware current, and I'm looking for UK, which we'll get to in a second. As you can see, there's an awful lot of Slackware mirrors. And if you're in the United Kingdom, the one I would suggest you do is this one, Slackware UK. It's a really fast mirror. It's run by Darren Austin, known as Tadji in the community. And if you go to his mirror, you'll find a great deal of repositories are hosted on there, and support him by all means if you'd like to. But I've already set that, so all good. I'm going to come out of that. I'm going to stay as root, and I'm now going to make sure that I'm going to pull down all the GPT, I can't remember what it's called. So I'm going to do Slackpkg, update, GPG, that's it. And it'll go and get the keys. And as you can see, it's got them. The next thing I want to do is to update the cache. So I'm just going to run Slackpkg update. And it's going to go off and have a look at all the package lists. Remember, we're on current, so they are going to be changing quite frequently. So you're going to need to do a Slackpkg update quite often. Once we've done that, I'm going to run Slackpkg install new to see if any new packages have been added that we need to install. And it's having a look to see if anything new has actually happened. And it might take a little while, so let's just bear with it. Ah, there we are. So it's saying GST plugins bad free have been updated. Or that's an additional package now for us to install. So that's okay. So I'm going to click OK. That's now installed. Now I want to see if there's any updates for the system. So I'm going to do upgrade all. Now, before I run this command, I should perhaps go back to the web browser and just have a look at the Slackware page. What you are advised to do if you're running Slackware is to go to their standard page and look in the change logs. I'm going to look in the current change log for 64-bit, and this will take you to the various packages that have been updated by date. So If you're only going to want several of those packages and you don't want them all, don't just blindly run Slackpkg upgrade all. Be a little bit thoughtful with it and decide what you're going to install, or install them one by one from the repo. I'm going to run Slackpkg upgrade all, and you can see there's not that many packages actually to update, which just shows you how recent this ISO is. I'm going to hit OK, and it's going to get on with it, and we'll come back in a second. So it's finished installing all of those files, and it's now asking me what do I want to do, because there's some new configuration files there. Do I want to keep the old files, overwrite everything, remove all the .new files, or prompt for each package? And the config files are for these up here. Well, do you know what I mean? I'm just going to overwrite everything in this case. I might not want to do that in some circumstances, but I would do it for this. So that's my my Slackware installation fully updated. Now, you may well get kernel upgrades coming through quite frequently when you're running Slackware current, and when you run an upgrade all, you will need to update the bootloader, Lilo or Grub, after the end of a kernel upgrade. It's not going to do it automatically for you. So if you were doing Lilo, you'll find that Lilo-V is what you want to run. If you're running Grub, well, you'll want to run grub make config, the standard -o/boot grub dot whatever it is. So you need to remember that. Don't do a full kernel upgrade and reboot, because it probably won't start. There are times as well where you may not want an upgrade all to upgrade certain packages, perhaps those that you've installed from a third-party repository, or you may, for instance, not want it to do a kernel upgrade. Well, that's easy as well. Go into nano etc Slackpkg again and go to blacklist. And you'll find in this blacklist file, you have the option here to uncomment kernels if you don't want your kernel automatically updated when you run Slackpkg upgrade all. And you can also add anything else you want there. So we've got an entry there to blacklist all Slack build packages, which is great, and I'm just going to do that now. So you've got complete control, really. So let me just exit from this and shut this down for the time being. So you've got a Slackware system that's fully updated with the latest Slackware packages. You don't need to worry about dependencies at all if you're just using Slackware packages from the standard repo. It gets a little bit more complicated, though, if you want to start drawing packages from separate repos. And one of the packages that you may want to look at is something called Slackpkg Plus, which actually isn't a new type of package manager, but it's a plugin for Slackpkg, the standard Slackware package manager, and it adds additional functionality. One of the main things that it does do is it adds functionality for adding third-party repos, should you wish to do so. It also improves the search function, and it's worth adding on. There is no downside to it, not as far as I'm concerned. So I downloaded this the other day, and let me make this a little bit bigger again. And if I cd to my downloads directory, you'll notice that I've got a few additional things that I'm going to run through today that I've downloaded. One of which is the Slackpkg Plus package there. So I'm going to do SU. Now, when you've downloaded a package, the way that you install it, you don't have to use Slackpkg itself to install it. You would just use standard commands like install package, upgrade package, or remove package. These, in a sense, are the equivalent of Debian's DPKG, but of course they do not do dependency checking. So I'm just going to type install package, and I want to have the Slackpkg Plus plugin. And there we are. That's now installed. And that creates an additional configuration file in the Slackpkg directory. So let's go and have a look at that. And you'll need to read through this. So you've got a number of options there, which I have to say I normally keep as default, including do I allow the installation of 32-bit packages? I normally have them as, I'll leave it as off, because I'm not going to install 32-bit packages unless I particularly have to. But I know some of you who are gamers out there may well want to do that. And I'm just going to go all the way down to the first change that you'll see. I've just shown you the blacklist that comes with the standard Slack package, but with Slackpkg Plus, it also adds something called a grey list. What this means is any packages that you have installed that are non-Slackware packages, rather than automatically upgrading them, it will show them in a little curses interface and they will be unchecked by default. To be honest, I haven't used it. I tend to prefer just using the standard blacklist file. So we go down here and we keep coming down. Right. You'll see some things here for an option called package priority. And this is if you use third-party repos. If you use third-party repos, there's a likelihood that the same package could be in a number of different repos. And if that's the case, you set the priority here so that you would, put, I just want the restricted repo of Alien Bobs to take dominance over the standard repo of Alien Bobs. Read the man page. I mean, that's a big thing. And you can set up your priorities, which repo it should actually use. And you can see here, it's already added one repo, which is Slackpkg Plus, which is the repo to update this plugin. You've also got some options here. Which repos would I like to add? Right, so there's a few here. I'm going to initially add Alien Bob's repo, and I'm going to add Alien Bob's restricted repo. So that's for the restricted repos, particularly good for packages like VLC, where depending upon which country you're in, some components might not be entirely legal. But if you want to install things from the restricted repo, everything will be good. And it says here, list repositories that you want to use. Well, we're going to use Slackpkg Plus. I'm also going to use restricted. And I'm also going to add Alien Bob to this list. So, Slackpkg Plus, restricted, and Alien Bob. The words that you use are here in the square brackets. I'm not going to install Multilib yet. All I'm going to do is save this file, come out of it, and at this point I'm going to run a Slackpkg update GPG and pull down the keys of those extra repositories, Alien Bob, who's Eric Hammerleers, and I'm going to do a Slackpkg update. And it will go off and it will add in all the other packages in its cache that I now have access to. So that didn't take very long. So if I wanted to install something that's not currently on the system, I can now use Slackpkg search to find out what I can actually install. And let's go for something big like LibreOffice, because you really want a pre-compile package for that. You don't want to be doing this yourself. And it'll go off and find out whether or not that package is available. And you can see there's a whole range of options there with Alien Bob. Okay. What about if I also want to know whether or not there are any dependencies required with this package that is part of an external repository? Well, I can use Slackpkg again, but this time I would use Slackpkg info, LibreOffice. And you can see here that it's telling me, you know, any packages required, no, package conflicts, no, and it's in Alien's repo, and I could indeed just go ahead now and install this. In fact, I'm not going to do it now, but I am going to show you the command, so I just do slackpkg install, oops, helps if I spell it right, LibreOffice. It's going away and it's having a look. And it'll come back in a second. It's preparing a list for me. And there you can see you've got to go through and uncheck all the all the various language packs. But there they are. I just tick the ones that I want and leave the ones unchecked that I don't want. So nice and straightforward. Now, the Slackpkg info is something that's worth talking about because you are relying on people who put third-party repositories together to actually put the dependencies in the information file. And not all of them do. So as a matter of course, if I search for Alien Bob repo, Alien Box it's come up with. So Alien Bob restricted repo, for instance, and I have a look there, restricted Slack bills. We can see that VLC is one of the things there. Now, he does offer a package with it for current. Let's have a look in the metadata. Is anything required there? Apparently not. Okay, well, that's good. What about in the Slack build? Because he also offers a Slack build there. And there is an option there called Slack required for when you're building. Right, so let me show you how to check. In fact, let me start another terminal. That might be easier. External do. If I want to check that these packages are already installed, I do ls var log packages, and then I would search the packages by piping it through grep open al, for instance, to see if I've got that. Apparently I haven't. What about SDL sound? I haven't got that either. What about lib xkb common? That is installed. I see it there, so that's great. And what about qt5? I've certainly got qt5 there, so no problem. So there's a couple of packages that I haven't actually got there. I'm actually not too bothered about not having them because I know that whilst you might need them for compiling, if I install one of Alien Bob's packages, such as Slackpkg install VLC, it will install fine, and I don't actually need any additional dependencies. Someone like Alien Bob, he's part of the Slackware development team, so you can pretty much trust him, but I'm paranoid, so I'm not always going to do that. I'm going to install his VLC. You can see I set restricted as the repository that I've given the most priority to. So I'm going to ask him to put in the VLC package, which is installing now. And there you go. And what we should find now, if I go to the menu and I go to multimedia, we should actually find that VLC is installed. And there you go. All done and dusted. Just be careful. Be paranoid when installing packages from third-party repositories. There may be package dependencies. Go and check. Don't just rely on the Slackpkg info command, because it relies on the creators of the repositories putting the information there that you need. Right, so I'm now going to go back to the Slackpkg Plus configuration. So that's in etc, Slackpkg, and Slackpkg Plus. Oops, wrong. Didn't leave it long enough. There we are. Slackware by default is not set up for Multilib, but many of you are going to want to know how to do this. So you'll have seen we have an option for a Multilib system there, and you can set up a Multilib system really easily. In fact, it tells you how to do it here. Use USR doc Slackpkg Plus. Okay, so let's just come out of here and let's cd to USR. I can't type today. Doc. And we'll see there is a Slackpkg Plus option there. And if I find that, and I go ls, you will see in there that there is a script called setup multilib sh. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to run that script. Would you like to set up Slackpkg Plus to add multilib support? In other words, it's going to make the configuration files that we need. Do you want to install the multilib now? Yeah, I do. It's doing an update, and it's now going to go off and install all the packages you need, and we'll come back in a second. Right, so that took about 10 minutes. I'm on a relatively fast connection, but as you see, it replaced 232 libraries. So all good. Next thing I'm going to do, still as root, is going to have a look at the Slackpkg Plus configuration file. So etc Slackpkg Plus. There you go. And let's have a look. What we want, and the main reason for installing Slackpkg Plus here on top or as a plugin of the standard Slack package, is because I've changed this to a multilib system, you can now see that package priority is set to multilib. So if there's an update on the multilib repository, multilib will take priority over the standard Slackware packages, and it will always overwrite the standard Slackware packages, and Slackware will not try and overwrite multilib. So if we go down here as well, it's also asking, so what repositories am I now going to use? Well, I'm going to use the multilib. So I'm going to put that there as well. And we don't need to actually worry about adding another mirror plus entry because I think it's done that up there. It has indeed. So package priority, multilib. What repositories do I want to use? Slackware Package Plus, multilib, restricted, alien Bob. Great. Everything I need is there. What I would say to you is Slackpkg Plus also has the facility to run a range of other third-party packages. And they are listed here. You will need to create the Mirror Plus entries, and you will see, you know, I've installed Multilib, Alien Bob, and that's pretty much it at the moment. Oh, and restricted. What you can also maintain here is if you fancy a Mate desktop, there is something called the Mate Slack build repo, and you can install the packages and you can keep it updated from here. Or the Cinnamon Slack build repository, again, you can keep it updated from here. And there is even, I'm just looking for it here, there is a Slack-only repository. I don't know whether it's down a little bit further. Slack-only. Just be careful if you install something like Slack-only. It looks like a really good repository in as much as it has pre-built packages for everything in the Slack builds repo, which I'll talk about on the next video. But it is quite old and hasn't been updated for a while. So just be wary about adding additional third-party repos here. And please remember, Slackpkg, even with Slackpkg Plus, does not resolve dependencies. So you're still going to need to do a little bit of work. But if you're only sticking to the likes of Alien Bob's Multilib repo and his standard repo, you're not really going to have too many issues. The issues will come if you decide to install out of repo packages and you start to go on to installing Slack builds. I've realised that this has taken quite a bit of time to get to this point, so I think we'll probably leave that till the next video. When you're installing Slack builds, you're essentially compiling a package using a build script. You do need to take account of dependencies, and you can either take care of them yourself or you can use a number of helpers that are available to assist you in that. And we're going to look at them on the next video. Right, so that's Slackware 15. I really rate Slackware, always have, and I can't wait for the next stable release to actually come out. But Slackware current is at RC stage is pretty stable anyway, and I'd encourage you all to give it a try. It is one of those distros that requires you to do a little bit of work to set it up. No bad thing as far as I'm concerned. And it certainly doesn't come with all flashy themes or anything like that. Although, as with all Linux distros, you can do that yourself. So this is probably the first in a series of Slackware videos that I'll do over the coming weeks, where I'm going to be taking you through the journey that I've gone through myself, and hopefully you find it interesting. That's it for today, guys. Just a quick video, really. I need to update the Patreon page probably before next week, and I'll be able to show that. I'd just say that for those patrons who've stuck with me for the last couple of months, I know I suspended payments, but thanks for staying there. Things are going to be back up and running soon. And guys, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in a week or so. Cheers.